I am 72 years old. I sit in this house most days now, watching the light move across the floorboards, and I realize that I am a ghost in a museum of my own making. People talk about life as if it's a series of grand choices, but it isn't. It's 1,000 tiny thefts. You steal a little time here, a little attention there, always promising yourself you'll pay it back with interest later. But the interest kills you. I worked in logistics and supply chain management for nearly 40 years. That sounds dry to most people, I suppose. To me, at the time, it was everything. It was the heart of the world. I was the man who made sure the gears turned, that the ships arrived, that the shelves were never empty. I took a great deal of pride in that. I thought that by being indispensable to a corporation, I was being a provider for my family. That was the lie I told myself every morning at 5:30 a.m. when I pulled the garage door shut so I wouldn't wake the kids. My son, David, is 38 now. My daughter, Sarah, is 35. I see them on holidays, mostly. We are polite. We are kind. But there is a distance between us that no amount of small talk can bridge. It's the distance of 1,000 missed dinners. It's the silence of a man who wasn't there to hear the stories of their days. And now, they've simply stopped telling them to me. I remember my 30s as a blur of airport terminals and late-night fluorescent lights. I was always getting ahead. I told my wife, Elena, that I was doing it for them. I told her that once I reached the vice presidency, once the retirement fund was hit, once this merger was over, then I would slow down. Then we would take those trips. Then I would be the father I intended to be. I remember one Tuesday, I don't even know what year it was, maybe 1996. David had a championship game. I had promised him I'd be there. I really intended to be. But a shipment of electronic components got held up in customs in Long Beach, and the regional director was breathing down my neck. I stayed at the office until 9 p.m. When I got home, the house was dark. There was a cold plate of dinner in the microwave. David's jersey was crumpled on the mudroom floor. I remember feeling a twinge of guilt, but I pushed it down. I thought, he'll understand. I'm paying for his college. I'm making sure he never has to struggle the way I did. I didn't realize that children don't care about your struggle. They care about your presence. They don't experience your provision as love. They experience your absence as a void. I did that for decades. I chose the urgent over the important, every time. If a client called, I answered. If the board needed a report, I stayed through the weekend. I was the reliable one. That was my identity. I wore my 60-hour work weeks like a badge of honor, a sign of my character. Then came the end. It wasn't a grand send-off. It wasn't a gold watch and a standing ovation. I was 67. The company was restructuring. A younger man, a boy really, who understood the new software better than I did, was brought in. My boss, a man I had known for 20 years, a man I had missed my daughter's dance recitals to help, sat me down in a glass-walled office. He didn't look me in the eye. He talked about efficiency and moving in a new direction. He thanked me for my service in a way that felt like he was thanking a toaster for working for a long time before finally breaking. I was gone within the week. My desk was cleared. My email was deactivated. The indispensable man was replaced by a line item in a budget. That first Monday morning, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. out of habit. I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee and waited for the phone to ring. It didn't. I waited for an urgent email to pop up on my laptop. There were none. The silence was deafening. I realized then, with a clarity that felt like a physical blow to the chest, that the company didn't miss me. The ships were still docking. The shelves were still being filled. The world hadn't stopped turning because I wasn't there to push it. I had given my best years, my sharpest focus, and my highest energy to a machine that didn't even remember my middle name. And in exchange, I had given my family the leftovers, the tired, grumpy, distracted version of myself. I tried to fix it. I really did. I started calling David and Sarah more. I tried to be involved. But you can't just walk back into a room you left 20 years ago and expect everyone to have saved you a seat. They have their own lives now. They have their own rituals, their own inside jokes, their own ways of coping with the world, and I am not a part of them. When we talk, they are guarded. They don't mean to be, I think. It's just that they learned a long time ago not to depend on me for emotional weight. I taught them how to live without me, and they learned the lesson perfectly. I remember sitting with Sarah a few months ago. She has a son now, my grandson, Leo. He's 5. He was playing on the floor with some blocks. Sarah was checking her work phone, her thumb scrolling incessantly. I saw myself in her. I saw that same tension in her shoulders, that same just one more email look in her eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the phone and throw it across the room. I wanted to tell her, Sarah, look at him. Look at the way he's trying to show you that tower he built. He won't be 5 tomorrow. He won't be 5 in 10 minutes. This moment is the only thing that is real, but I didn't say it. Who am I to give advice? I'm the man who wasn't there. If I told her to stop working, she'd remind me, quite rightly, that her hard work is what's paying for her mortgage, just like mine did. The tragedy of it is that you don't see the trap while you're in it. You think you're building a foundation, but you're actually digging a grave. You think you're being responsible, but you're actually being cowardly. It's easier to stay at the office and solve a logistics problem than it is to sit at home and figure out how to be a father to a grieving teenager or a lonely wife. The office gives you a scorecard. It gives you a paycheck and a title. Family just gives you a mirror, and sometimes you don't like what you see. I lost Elena 4 years ago. Cancer. It was fast. Thank God for that. But in those last weeks in the hospital, we didn't talk about my career. We didn't talk about the time I saved the company $3 million in shipping costs. She looked at me, her voice just a whisper, and she said, I just wish we had walked more. That was it. Not, I wish we had a bigger house. Not, I'm glad you became vice president. Just a wish for more walks, more time, more of the mundane, quiet, nothing that I had traded away for something. I'm 72 now, and my calendar is empty. My phone is silent. I have a very comfortable pension. I have a house that is far too large for one person. I have all the success I spent 40 years chasing, and I would give every cent of it. I would give the house and the titles and the accolades just to go back to 1,996 for 2 hours. I would sit in the bleachers of that high school baseball field. I would turn my phone off. I would watch my son play. And when he looked up to the stands to see if I was watching, I would be there. But I wasn't. And I can't go back. That is the weight I carry. It's not the weight of failure. It's the weight of a success that turned out to be hollow. If you are listening to this, and you are still in the middle of it, the climbing, the striving, the getting ahead, I want you to do something. I want you to look at your children. Truly look at them. Notice the way their hair grows, the way they laugh, the way they still want your approval. Then, I want you to imagine yourself at 72, sitting in a quiet house, looking at a gold watch or a framed certificate on the wall. Ask yourself if that piece of metal is going to hold your hand when you're scared. Ask yourself if it's going to visit you on Sundays. The world will replace you in a week. Your job will be posted on a website before your obituary is even written. But your children, they only have one of you. And once those years are gone, they are gone forever. There is no overtime that can earn them back. There is no bonus that can buy a second chance at a first childhood. I am 72, and I am learning that the most expensive things in life are the ones that were free, and the most important work I ever did was the work I left undone at home. I don't expect this to change your life. People rarely listen to the old until they become the old. But I had to say it. I had to tell the truth for once. If you have a moment, perhaps tell me about something you're choosing today, not for your career, but for your soul. It would be nice to hear that someone is choosing differently than I did. My coffee is cold now. The light has moved to the other side of the room. I think I'll go for a walk. Alone, as usual. But I'll go. Take care of your time. It's the only thing you really own. Would you like me to focus on a specific scene from this script to expand into a more detailed flashback, or shall we move on to another topic?